Okay, good afternoon everyone and welcome back to another live stream from my studio. Hopefully, as you can tell, we have sorted out a large chunk of the sound issues we were having. I bought another microphone. It's a Blue Snowball Ice. It's not that great, but it was pretty cheap, I've got to say. I've done some really ridiculous rousing. So I'm using Reaper and Studio One in tandem just to get it to stream through OBS, which is all fantastic. And the really cool thing is, the reason I've done it like that is so I can set up channel ducking on my master out, which you can see down here. So I've got two outputs. The microphone feeds through this channel over here. I can do all this processing on the channel to reduce background noise from all the various fans I've got going, boost up the signal a bit, and then use it to sidechain duck the main output. And I'll show you what that does now. So I hit play on the sequencer, and when I talk it ducks the volume of the channel, so you can hear me talk over my tweaks and all that. It's all good, it's all fantastic, as it should be. But getting it to work properly was such a pain. OBS here, it just didn't want to play nicely at all, just not at all. And I'm not sure whether that's Studio One's fault, OBS's fault, the state of Windows audio architecture, which is just appalling, just really bad, or many other various things. And in the end, I resorted to using a third-party piece of software called Virtual Audio Cable, which allows me to do some fancy interconnects. That all works fantastically. So I send the signal out from here. This is running an ASIO driver, which is fantastic and has been around for donkey's knows how long. This sends the signal out to Reaper, and in Reaper it sends a mix, so the actual music it sends out to Reaper, and I'll hit play in Studio One so you can see that. This channel here goes to something called Virtual Cable 1.2. Virtual Cable 1.2 is fed into Reaper, which is running a direct sound driver. Yeah, when was the last time you saw that used in anger? But that's the only way, the only thing that OBS would target correctly without crashing. And I've just got a little bit of a limiter on that just to keep things calm. And then from there it goes out to OBS, whereas the microphone, back in Studio One, that goes to a different virtual cable, 1.2, and that goes straight into OBS. So yeah, you can see it was a bit of a nightmare to set up, but now it's done. So anyhow, what we're going to be doing this afternoon is expanding this track out a bit. I don't know how far we're going to get. We're going to give it a go. At the moment it's an 8-bar loop. That's not that great. I want to be getting out to sort of more like a 65-bar loop for this section. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to fill in and then cut out. So I'm going to fill in these tracks here, bash, done, and then we're going to cut out and modify bits that we want to change around. So this is all completely off the hoof, and we're going to see what happens. The main idea is you want to sort of punctuate the track as you go along. So the big changes are every 16 bars, with the even bigger one at 33, and the biggest one of all at 64. So every 16 bars you get a big fill on the kick drum and the bass. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to separate out those copies because I don't want our changes in those to affect the others. And what we're going to try and do straight off the bat is get some variation going within these 4 big kick drum. I'm not even changing the damn right thing. Never mind. We'll sort that out. It's not a big deal. We're going to get some variation in the 4 sort of big section changes. So at the moment we got, if I jump to that section, which is pretty safe, but we don't want to make this one too big. It's just it's not a particularly big change. We're not going to change the section up to 16 bars. So if we just do something as sort of simple as that, that's the wrong roll. There we go. So if I do even something as simple as that, just putting in another little flick, Just a bit more full on than the one I got at 8. I don't really want to make it crazy. Just having a little bit of variation. So I'll jump back in, separate out the bass part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the bass note that I just put in. So now the bass drum and the bass note won't frequency conflict with each other. It should sound a little bit cleaner. I'll do that again so you get a better feel for it. So there's no frequency clashing. If I put in the note I had again, and you can have another listen, you get a kind of distorted attack on the note. It's just a bit more than is comfortable for the sequencer to handle. So I cut that out, and then I'll jump on to 33, 32 even, the run into 33. Now this I want to be a little bit bigger, and I can use velocity to play around with it a bit and try and get something going. I'm going to turn off the bass for a second here, just to sort of make it clear to my ears. This is not exactly, it's a pretty cheesy way of doing it, but I kind of like these really old school MIDI fills, so I think they work. I'll go with that. And I want to play the bass line again there to make sure that it's not conflicting too much. So I'm going to keep in those because I kind of turned down the volume of the kick on this one and this one. But here, I'm not really sure that that note in particular is going to be doing me any good. So let's get rid of that. I'll play the bass part. Yeah, I'm not sure it does need that. I think that's a lot. And I'm going to put in some notes in the bass part to try and I like the 8. We'll get rid of that. That's just I'm sort of trying to imply that it's a fill here. And then I'm in the next bar. I'm sort of going to run back down into the groove again. So here we go. Only that's a shared copy, so I need to separate that out. And as I go along, I'm probably going to put in more and more little fills in the bass line to try and get it more sort of interesting. Try and get some inspiration going and keep the interest going rather than just having this kind of thing. That's quite a lot. And so this is a little fill here, bar 48, the end of bar 48. I just want a little fill. Oh dear, I can't even click on it. Okay, there we go. That's got it. And so I'm just going to, what am I going to do with this one? What about there? I never put one there. Let's try it. Yeah, that's fun. It's not meant to be a big fill. It's just meant to be a little sort of hiccup, really. Just to imply that we've come to the end of the 8 bar. It's useful for DJs. It's useful for the dance floor. They understand where they're at. It sort of resets everyone. And this one we'll do a very, very clear never onto one of these, but there's no mistaking what it means, and we can change it. We're not, because everything's sort of not fixed. It's all. I'll leave the last beat, I think, and I'm not going to run the bass line too much at all in that last one. Let's have a listen. I'll mute that just for now. Okay, now that melody is starting to annoy me, and I don't want the melody in there. This is it's a nice melody, but I don't know how the track's going to end up at this point. I don't want to be sort of tied into that melody, but I could use that melody to generate other little bits of proto melody. I do like that noise, and that noise kind of works whenever. So I'm going to bounce that noise down. I don't really feel I need to do a lot more to that noise. I'm going to leave the EQ unbounced, and we're going to get to one of my favorite bits about Studio One. That's certainly been part of Studio One since the second version of Studio One, and is really, really, really much better than pretty much any other sequencer I know, which is how it freezes and how it bounces down to audio. So what I do is I click on the channel identifier on the left hand side, and we'll give it something more interesting than Massive 3 as a name. We'll call it Digi-Swell. It's kind of a lo-fi digital swell. We'll call it Digi-Swell. And we go transform to audio track, basically freeze. And it calls up this menu, which is fantastic. So I can choose to render the inserts or not. So I can just render the instrument and leave my insert effects live, which will save a lot of processing power, or I can render the whole track down to audio if I so wish. I can preserve the instrument state, so in other words I can choose to sort of hard bounce it to audio, or I can leave it so it can be unfrozen again, just like a standard freeze, or I can remove the instrument. Now this is a massive issue, or at least it was. It's not so much of a massive issue now that we've gone on to mainly 64-bit stuff, but in the days of 32-bit instruments, there's some bizarre sequencers out there which refuse to unload the instrument from memory when they froze the track. So there's really no point in freezing the track unless your CPU is running out. But it didn't solve the issues of running into massive memory issues around the 4 gig mark. And if you consider that a Constate instrument can comfortably use 500 meg of your 4 gig limit, you start thinking, well, this is a major issue. Why is no one addressing this? And Studio One did. They said that you could remove the instrument and still preserve the instrument track state. So you could freeze the track down to audio, get rid of the instrument out of memory, and then call it back if you wanted it at another point. It will let you fix the tail length. So if you're running a massive reverb, which you compress, and you want all that to come into the tail, it will let you either do it automatically, or it will let you have a fixed tail length up to 30 seconds, which is a lot. We're going to go on auto tail. It's not a long part, and I'm not going to render the insert, so it doesn't matter. So we'll do that. It'll be fine. Max length. I want max length of, say some hard drive room. 15 seconds. Bang, done. And you see it automatically fades out the part. So we'll have a listen to that. You see, those are my MIDI notes. They're still in there. That's fine. I've got no issue with that. That's perfect. So I'll leave that alone now. And I'm going to use the MIDI from this part here. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to open up a new track. What shall I use? We'll go. What, Diva? And a digital synth. Why not? Put that down for a second. Okay, I'm going to paste that in. The MIDI, that is. And we're going to call this Proto Lead. No, I'm not going to use all of the MIDI. In fact, quite a lot of it I'm going to sort of get rid of. Pretty much, that's what I want. And I'm going to play with that and make it something a bit more sort of not as in your face as the big lead we did with the double sweeping notch and the phaser and the high pitch, and that's kind of really attention grabbing. I don't necessarily want it to be like that. I just want something which is a bit more subtle. You can hear it's kind of reminiscent. It's kind of just a groove. But we still need an answering phrase. One bar doesn't sound like enough. So we'll get rid of that. Duplicate that. And mainly it's because of the A. So we're in G. And because we were going to an A is the highest note of the thing, it kind of sounded unresolved. Whereas if we go to a note which is in the minor triad, so in the root, then it's going to sound a lot more resolved. I think, I hope. So now I've gone to a B and a D. And that's not perfect, it's not ideal, but it's certainly a lot more resolved than if I left it at the A as the highest note. Kind of sounds like we've gone somewhere. But still, it's not too sort of attention grabbing. We don't want to be attention grabbing the whole way through the tune, otherwise it will get old fast. I sort of drench that in reverb. Not reverb, delay. Delay generally gives you more space than reverb. It causes less transient smearing. I don't know why, but there we are, it does. That sounds weird. I knock out some of the width. And I want to get some automation going on this part. First of all, I want to make sure I've got as much as I need. I can always delete it again. So I'll paste in as much as I want, and then I can cut it back out again later on. Put in the envelope frequency, not the envelope frequency, the cutoff frequency. Pretty happy with that. To the point I think I might open up more. Needs a compressor. The volume's changing a lot. Let's go with the, whoops, didn't mean that. Fat fingers. Remove. It's kind of interesting. Let's use a preset to get into the right ballpark at least. None of that. None of that. Let's try again. That's better. try and get some effects going on as we sort of get to our fills as well, to generate more interest. So here's a nice thing. Loads and loads of delays will offer you the ability to affect the volume of the delay as you're working on it, but won't allow you to affect the input into delay. But if you control the input into delay, you can get a really nice effect, which I'm going to try and do now. So we're going to mute this delay. And I'm going to automate that mute. Hopefully you'll see what it does. Sorry, I had to think how to get to the right automation. There it is. Now that you can do set up the automation far more easy than that, but this is what I've done at this time. That's kind of cool. And I really like the way that the delay carried on with the sort of high frequency content after the cutoff shut back down. So that's one of the advantages of looping. There aren't a lot, but that is one of them. You can sort of get unexpected effects from jumping back to the section. So I really like the sound of the delay pinging off on afterwards, which is caused by the filter frequency being closed by going back to the start. So I'm going to re-emulate that in bar 32 because I really like that. So 82.5. That's near enough. Let's check that out now. And I'm not going to bring it back up again. I kind of like it down there. I want another thing coming in. So first of all, I'm going to put in a little sort of crash hi-hat. Maybe more of a ride. I've got to find one first. I wonder where I'll get one. In here somewhere. So files. Drums again. Where would I find a ride? Essentials. Near enough. I don't want it to follow tempo. We'll see. And that pretty clearly needs some work. First up, reverb. Stuff like this, if in doubt, drench it in reverb. EQ doesn't need any bass end at all, it's just a sort of splash noise. Signifies we got to a big break. That's pretty much it. And I want to reverb that way more out than it currently is. Not that thrilled. Let's see if we can find a better sample that will help. Maybe. Oh yeah, there we go. There's one of the weird things about Studio One. You can overlap audio events. There's so many good uses for that, but we'll get onto it later. So here's how you time stretch. Give that plenty. Yeah, that's kind of really weird. Okay, I can go with that though. I'll move that down. I'm going to move that way up. Cut out some of the mids. Cut out the attack. Stick on some delay. Oh, not expander. No. Delay. I want delay. Especially I'm trying to wash this noise out. Just have a sort of sheen. Metallic sheen. That'll do. I don't want it to be very stereo. That's a bit more like it. And so I want another little lead to come in. Let's check that out. think at this point I definitely want the bass to start being more of an element than it has been up to this point. I'm going to chop out of that, separate out of that, and we're going to work on making this a bit funkier. Because I have a nice groove and not a lot of interest. So we'll go from here. Make that one. Make that home so it's easy to get back to the start of what I'm working on. Select these two parts and I'm going to duplicate them. Not as ghost copies because I don't want this kind of little run. I like that. I'll go with that. Duplicate that again I'll remove that little run. Okay. I'll do a little fill here. And I'll repeat that out again. You see the advantage of keeping a key tracking now. Nearly, but not quite. What's happening with the kick drum there? That's why. Much better. I'm going to try and put in some kind of little sort of rhythmic synth line now. Wow, instrument. There we go. Massive will do. See, I told you I use these synths all the time. I mean, I do know what to. Let's make it FM8. Why not? Replace. Easy as that. Lovely. Expert. Okay, so this could be nice for stab noises. Ooh. Trying to do Ableton commands. What am I doing? Right. Draw. There we go. Let's get a stab. So 1, 2. I'll do that a lot. It's my way of getting the rhythm down. Or not. I think that's about right. Let's just make it really blatant so I can hear it. Oh, brainstorm. Operator F. I want to change the waveform. Let's make it a saw. I'll be able to hear that. Yeah, I can go with that. That's pretty useful. Get that going. Okay, so FM synthesis. This can be a bugbear for many people. There are things which work most of the time though. Let's focus on that. We'll keep operator F, we'll keep that as a sawtooth. This operator E is going to become the thing that affects operator F. One's a modulator, one's a carrier, so E's the modulator. And we're going to drop that down a couple of octaves. And a couple of octaves in this sense means 1/4 of the frequency of the carrier. We're going to turn it into a triangle. A bit low. Generally, if you keep the modulator as a waveform with less harmonic content, so a sine wave, a triangle, probably avoid, at least until you're confident about what you're going to get out of it, probably avoid using square waves or saw waves or other such things. I mean, I know a triangle and a square wave, triangle and a saw wave have the same harmonic structure, but not really, just the same partial content, not the same partial level. So let's play around with that until we get a sound that we're a bit happier with. Maybe have some bass, hey? Try a different ratio. That's a bit easier to work with. That's starting to get there now. And I'll put some reverb on that to send it back in the mix. Alright, so percussively we're completely static, which I don't like. Let's have a look at our drums and figure out what we're going to do about that. So let's modify the share copies and let's take out the open hi-hat where we can. Ooh, no. Not sure about that actually. That will do it for all of them, I believe. I'm not intending to do. So what I'll do is I'll merge that. Separate out those share copies. That won't affect them. Events. Merge events. No. I need to select them first, eh? There we go. So that will control that a bit better now. And now I'll get rid of those open hi-hats. It'll still be in the fills, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's get rid of the other hats as well. Well, mostly. I'm going to keep in that first beat hat. But on these bars, I'm going to duplicate it and make it an on-beat little snick. Kind of makes it feel like it's going somewhere. And I kind of want a pad noise to come in at that point. Something really soft and gentle. Well, it's kind of going to be in between a pad and a lead. You'll see what I mean. If I can get the quantize set up with something vaguely useful. This might not work. Try something pretty weird here. Jazz influence. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay, so voicing, I want this to be a monophonic. Yeah, this weirdness. Legato, monophon. 3. So a big attack, full sustain. See how that's sounding. Loud. That's how that's sounding. I'm going to solo this out and work on. Starting to get where I might be going, or maybe you're not. I hope you are. This should sound strange. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I might keep it, I might not. I can easily change it into something more mundane. But if you've got an idea, generally speaking, go for it. You can always undo it if you don't like it. Ah, that'll do. Too much reverb. Sounds crazy. I like it. Just need to make the noise actually change more and be a less boring sort of saw wave kind of thing. getting there. It's kind of losing out a bit. It's losing what I want it to do. So let's bring that down. I'm not sure it's because it's triggering a new envelope or something. Not too sure at all. I think it's because it's building up a lot of sound by droning on the one note. Okay, so let's try opening this up over time. I think we might use our trick with the delay again. The input mute trick. So we delay just the section which is the sort of weird flip. Okay, so I'll go down to the automation again. Audio inserts. Input mute, add. And I want the input to be muted to the delay. Unless it is that weird fill. It's still not a big enough noise. It's not noticeable enough. Happy accidents. That sounds mad. Let's get some auto pan going. Boom, 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 boom. I'll duplicate that. I'll have that for bar 49. That's why. Because I'm doing it wrong. Okay. Well, that makes things much easier. Let's see how that sounds. Let's get another bit of a sort of follow-up note. I'm going to try and make it quite strange though. Okay, starting to get there. So we're always sort of trying to strike a balance between dissonance and resolution. So I can, if I don't go back to the root note at this point, then that's always going to sound like it's suspended and it's trying to carry on. Or I can go back to the root note and it will sound like it's come home, and maybe it's time for another little bit of an idea. I mean, it kind of sounds like that anyway, so the implication is I should probably go to the root note and give the listener what they are intuitively expecting after that note. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in here. That's our fifth, so that will pretty much imply, with all the G notes we've got going on, that will imply home. It will imply that we've come home at bar 49, wherever home may be. I'm going to turn on that nice delay again, give it its room. Show high automation. It's done it for me, perfect. Too late. Okay, that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I'm going to have a little think about where I want it to go. I'm pretty happy with some of the ideas I've generated. It doesn't feel finished at all, obviously, and I'm not a quick worker, obviously. But I feel like I've got a pretty good section here. This weird idea here, that worked pretty well. I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased with my proto lead. I'm not sure about my FM lead. I'm not sure about my crash. I think the percussion needs a lot of work, and I'm still not sure we're ever actually going to use this nice thing with the double notch filter for a massive in it. But hopefully it's not too generic. Hopefully I'm not teaching you to suck eggs in your production. Hopefully it's giving you some ideas about how you might want to do things differently in the future, or things you might want to try. Any feedback is always welcome. Please let me know what you think. If you like the video, be sure to give it a like. If you don't like the video, be sure to give it a dislike. Subscribe if you like, and share if you like. Thank you very much for watching. I will catch you next time.